Midterms tomorrow.
Yes.
Tell me about what you're expecting there.
They suggest that there's a pretty high probability that the Republicans will take at least one of the House or the Senate, and most likely both. That creates an interesting dynamic, which is a split government, which typically creates much less legislation being passed, and frankly, like the idea that there's going to be big stimulative legislation in an environment of divided government going into a general election, like seems like a pretty low probability. The thing that it adds is a level of tail risk to the market that I think people often don't discuss in these circumstances. If you go back through time, you've got a couple of, I call, core functioning elements of the government, which is they got to pass a budget in order to keep the government open. They also will probably have to pass a debt ceiling rise. Both of those things are critical functioning, but one side, either the Republicans or the Democrats, could hold up passing such legislation in order to extract, politically desirable outcomes. And frankly, those could have meaningful tail risks. Like if the government shuts down, like that has a direct hit to economic activity, which could be quite detrimental for the economy. It also, not raising the debt ceiling, like the US government might technically default on its debt. It doesn't really matter in that sense. I won't get into the details so that I could bore you to tears about it, but the US government's not defaulting on its debt, but anything that creates, frankly, noise about the idea of holding treasuries is just going to make things worse in terms of, the general supply and demand for bonds, and raise interest rates for the rest of the economy. And so, those things could easily play out. It could be a lot of friction. It could be a lot of bumpiness in the name of political expediency. And that's probably underpriced, or typically is underpriced,